Hi guys, welcome to my first video on my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the eye, if that isn't clear already. This is for GCSE biology and we're going over the eye and sort of vision defects. This is my first video, so it's not going to be very well prepared. The equipment, the camera quality, not all that good. However, I am planning on improving. It's going to be short as possible and it's going to be a simple guide roughly. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. The first thing we're going to do is label the eye and the functions to make this all a bit clearer. So the first thing we've got is this bit at the back here. This is called the optic nerve, and the best thing for you guys to do is copy this down with me. The optic nerve basically carries impulses to brain. The impulses will come from the receptors. So this will have the information, and the optic nerve will basically carry out for the brain to give the instructions for the actual movement to be carried out. The next part is the core. Let's go for the sclera. This is like the very outside line. I don't know if you can see this, but the sclera is basically the tough, the supporting wall of the eye. You could compare it to like the cell wall of a cell, for example. The cornea is this bit at the front here. I don't know if you can see that. This is the cornea. Sorry, I'll be getting in the way for just a short second. And the cornea is basically this transparent outer layer, and this refracts, so like bends the light into that enters the eye. So the light will come in, this cornea will refract it towards the light for it to enter. The iris, you probably know the iris, this is the coloured part of your eye, and this contains muscles. We'll be talking about the iris in a little bit in depth later, but this contains muscles that control the diameter. The diameter of the pupil. And the pupil is this hole in the middle. I don't know if you can see this. It's the hole. So the black bit in your eye, which you might think is just a black bit, is actually a hole, and it changes in shape, as you know, as you may know, and it handles how much light enters. So you can see the pupil there is the iris controls the pupil, how big the pupil is, to control how much light enters the eye. What else do we have here? We have the lens, which is this part here, this ball thing in the middle, and the lens basically focuses light so it focuses the light onto the retina. So the light comes through here and it focuses the light onto retina, which is this red bit back here. The retina contains these receptor cells that we were talking about later, and these receptor cells are sensitive to light and to colour. And so these receptor cells will then give the impulses to the brain through the optic nerve. We have two more. I don't know if you can see this part of the eye here. We have really not much space to do this. I'm just going to rub off these bits below, so just make sure you have copied the pupil and the sclera down. But this part here, that is called the suspensory ligaments. Ligaments. And this bit here, which connects there, that is called the sorry, I can't really pronounce some of these very well. Ciliary muscle. And as a pair, they control the shape. I don't know if that's in shot. Yep. The shape of the lens. So you have the suspensory ligaments, which is just below, and then we have the ciliary ligaments, which is just below that and goes round like this, and they control the shape of the lens. We'll be going back around them in a short minute, so make sure you have all copied that down. Very good stuff, very good stuff. We're going to quickly go to talk about the iris. Now the iris and how it adjusts the pupil with change of light. As you know, I don't know if you guys have ever, for example, watched your pupils in the mirror as you turn lights on and off, but this is basically the action that's going on. It's called the iris reflex. So very bright light can damage your eye, so it's important that the eye adapts to bright light in order to not damage your eye. So the right amount of light enters the eye. So you have light receptors in the eye that detect this very very bright light. As we said before, the retina contains these receptor cells which are sensitive to light intensity. So these receptors detect this very bright light. So the first thing is bright light detected. And then you'll have this reflex triggered, which makes the pupil smaller. So if we were to draw, this is for bright light. We draw our eye here. So really not the best. We have the smaller pupil. This bit in the middle is the pupil. The circular muscles in the iris contract. So circular muscles. Oh, I spelled that wrong, I think. Muscles contract. So you can think of that as circular contract, both C's, and then the radical muscles relax. So ra and relax, both R's. That's the way I like to remember it. And this reduces the amount because obviously if it's really bright, you don't want all of that light entering the eye. So by contracting the ciliary muscles and relaxing the radical muscles, it reduces the amount of light that enters eye. Sorry, that is so unneat and scruffy. I hope you can all read that. Feel free to copy that down in your own, probably a lot neater way. So that is if bright light, but if it's dim, your eyes will want to get more light into the eye, so a different reflex will occur, and your pupil will get bigger like this, and your ciliary muscles, it will be like the opposite. Oh, not ciliary, sorry, ignore that, do not confuse yourself. The circular muscles will relax, and the radical muscles will contract. And then these pupils are wider. If you're not very clear, this black thing in the middle, that is your pupil, and the bit around it is your iris. As we said before, the iris contains these muscles. Excuse me, that's my that's my farmyard outside. It contains these muscles. The iris contains these muscles which control the diameter of the pupil, as we said earlier before, and this is for the reason of not wanting to damage our eye by letting too much light in. Lovely stuff. I hope you guys write this down, and I'm going at a reasonable pace for you. If I'm not and I'm doing anything wrong, I'm all for criticism, so leave it down in the comments below if anyone actually ever sees this video. Wow, this isn't rubbing out very nicely. I can also get into more depth if you'd like about each thing, if you think this is too brief. But the next thing we're going to look at a little bit is focusing on near and distant objects. This is another reflex, as so was the iris reflex to the changes in light. We've got focusing on near and distant objects. This is called accommodation, and I've lost my pen. Sorry, I'm just going to have to write in red before I actually find it. Oh, no, found it. I literally just put it here. Okay. So this is to focusing on near or far distances. We've got accommodation. Now, the definition of accommodation is changing the shape of the lens. Not really the definition, but it's basically roughly what it is. Changing the shape of lens to focus light on the retina. Remember, we said the retina was the receptor cells. Mum. Sorry, that's actually a ringtone. That is so not neat writing, but I hope you can understand, and you may want to jot that definition down. So let's just get a clear canvas. That is awful. Let's just get a clear canvas so we can talk about near objects. Now, for near objects, your ciliary muscles. So, do you remember us talking about our ciliary muscles and our suspensory ligaments to change the shape of the lens? This is where this comes in handy. If an object is near, your ciliary muscles will tighten, and I've actually, if I put up a photo of an eye here, don't know if you can see that. So your ciliary muscles will tighten just here. Actually, wrong ones. Just here. And then your suspensory ligaments will relax in, as your ciliary muscles tighten, your suspensory ligaments, as a result, will relax or slacken. So this will cause the lens by the ciliary muscles tightening and the suspensory ligaments relaxing, this will cause the lens to become more curved, like that. Oh my god, Mum!
What are you on your sister on the phone?
The lens will become fat and more curved. This increases the amount by which it refracts. So by having this more curved line, it increases the amount of it will refract, so you'll be able to focus on. Is Elliot spamming you or something? What is going on here? Increases the amount by which it will refract. So we'll just write down. I'll write it in red actually. Quite important. Increases the amount it refracts. We've got this increase. Now, if we're looking at far objects, see, look, I've got another eye. How prepared is that? Let's just segment these off. If we're looking at far objects, it will coincidentally do the exact opposite thing. So the ciliary muscles, which are that one, I don't know if you can see that, just their ciliary muscles will relax. Which allows the suspensory ligaments, which are these ones, to pull tight. And that will, in result, make the lens be thinner and less curved. As you can see, my very drawn out difference there. So this refracts light. By a smaller.
Just give me that phone.
Mum, it's holding up my iPad. I can't give you it. So this refracts light.
It'll keep going until you.
Refracts light by a smaller amount. So as you could probably see the distinct difference there, we've got the increases the amount it refracts and decreases the amount of refracts in a way. So this is so your eye can adjust to near and far objects, hence why you can focus on objects which are far away and focus on objects which are up close. This is all to do by the ciliary muscles and the suspensory ligament changing the shape of the lens, allowing the certain amount of refraction for it to focus on your retina with the receptors, which then the receptors, the optic nerve, the impulses, blah, 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 blah. So I hope everyone understands that. You can jot that down real quick. This, as you get older, this like ability to flexibility, if you'd like, to adjust your shape of your lens with these muscles or ligaments, they become a lot less flexible, hence why you can't focus light as much, and that's why old people sometimes have like reading glasses. That's for near distances, however. But your lens cannot always refract this light by the right amount, like just we showed. What we just showed is the perfect way that the eye adjusts itself, but your lens cannot always refract the light by just the right amount, so it focuses on the retina. Remember the retina at the back, sometimes this cannot happen. This is why a person can be long-sighted or short-sighted, which is what we're going on to now, these vision defects. We have long-sighted firstly, I swear this will be quick. Don't you worry. We're just going to briefly go over it. Long-sighted is when the unable to focus on near objects. So they struggle with looking at things up close. This is because the lens is the wrong shape and it doesn't refract enough light. So make sure you've got down that it doesn't refract enough light. And that is why you can't focus on things of that distance, of that close distance. The images of the near objects are brought behind the retina. You'll see this in a sec. Behind the retina, which you can use glasses to help this. With a convex lens, this will curve outwards, and that will correct this refraction to actually focus on the retina, not behind it. Another word for long-sighted, by the way, is hyperopia. I don't know if I spelled that right. That's an R, that's an O, that's an I, that's an A. So yeah, if you want me to just quickly draw that down, so that was convex and that was behind the retina. I've actually got some more of these gorgeous eyes here. Whoa. So if we were to talk about someone who the uncorrected way, so someone who is long-sighted, they'll see their object and it will go into the cornea, it will refract and the lens, and then it will actually, oh, this is the worst, these are the light rays, and it will actually focus here, and the retina is here, and it will actually focus there. So they can't actually focus on the near object, whereas if it's corrected, so we have, for example, this convex lens, which is curved, the light will come along onto the thing, and it will correctly focus right on the retina just there. So this is the uncorrect, and this is the fixed with glasses. As you can see the difference there, the lines aren't that wonky. In real life, your light doesn't actually come in that way. However, if you're short-sighted, oh god, forgot to take this off. If you're short-sighted, it will actually do the exact opposite. Another word for someone who is short-sighted is myopia. So this is when you are unable to focus on distant objects. So this is a sad face because you can't focus on distant objects. This is because either I forgot to say, myopia can be because the eyeball is too long, and hyperopia can be because the eyeball is too short, hence why it focuses at distance too long, because your eyeball is shorter. But yeah, but this usually occurs when your lens is the wrong shape. So they are both to do with the fact that your lens is the wrong shape. But this one is because it lets too much light in. So do you remember when we said that you couldn't see from you had long-sightedness because it didn't let enough light in? You get short-sightedness because it lets too much light in, because your lens is not shaping in the way to let just the amount of light into focus on the retina. The images of the distant objects are brought in focus in front of the retina, and in front of retina, and you can use concave to fix this. It's like this. Let me just show you what that is. So if we have our normal one, our normal distance, this is incorrect. So this is if you're short-sighted. The light will come into the cornea, it will refract, and then that'll be in the shape of the lens will be wrong, and it will let too much light in, and it will go like this. That is so exaggerated. It's never really like this, but as you can see here is where the light is focusing. But when you put a concave lens in there, for example, and it's corrected, the light will, this is the object, this is the image, this is where you'll see the image. I forgot to say it on the last one. So before you saw the image behind, now you see the image here. And it's the same here. But corrected, it will go straight back and it will focus right on the retina. Perfect, and you'll see the image right here. Nice. Oh my god, didn't mean to do that. Nice and focused. Yeah, so that is pretty much it for the video. However, we can briefly just talk about how you can, fix these vision defects, as for some exams you do need to know this. One way you can fix a vision defect, as we talked about, is glasses, obviously, and the other way you can fix is because of contacts. You've probably heard of contacts before. They're these thin lenses in a way. Do you put on your surface of your eye, and they compensate for the fault in focusing, so they help you to focus. They're popular because they're light, they're convenient. You can do activities in them, and they're also invisible pretty much, so they're not that noticeable. Another thing you can do is have replacement lens surgery. This is actually a surgery. They can take out your lens that you have now and replace it with like a plastic artificial lens, and this basically means that this basically alters the shape of your cornea, so you can focus on light better if your lens is not focusing well. So it's an artificial lens. Another thing that you can do, I accidentally said just then that this alters the shape of your cornea. It does not. It's just replaces the lens of the eye. Laser eye surgery, I'm just getting more and more unneat because I'm holding the pen really weirdly. Laser eye surgery alters the shape of the cornea. It does this by lasering into your tissue. Lasering your tissue, and this causes the tissue to vaporize, which changes the shape of the cornea. If you were to slim it down and make it less powerful, that would be for short-sighted people. Short-sighted, that's what that stands for. If you were to make it more powerful, that would be for long-sighted. So basically you can, that's so slim by the way. So basically you can the surgeon can precisely control how much tissue the laser takes off, so completely correcting the vision. However, both of these two are surgery, so they're obviously medical procedures, so they have a very high risk. For example, laser eye surgery can actually make your vision worse, or there can be an infection, and replacement surgery that can make you lead to a loss of sight altogether. So yeah, that's the end of my video. I'm sorry it's quite messy. I am planning on improving my quality of my videos. And I'm sorry there was a cow going off the whole way through the video. That's actually a ringtone. But yeah, this was really long, but I hope you stuck with me and learnt a lot, even though you probably didn't. Bye, peace, love.